You know, for a game series that is mostly set in the same land throughout its entire history, The Legend of Zelda is surprisingly inconsistent in terms of scenery. Hyrule is different almost every single time we visit it, although there are also always elements that stick around. That is exactly what I want to look at today. What are the most common locations in the Zelda series? Which ones manage to return the most often, even when Hyrule gets another classic reset? It may seem like a simple question, but trust me, the answer is everything but. If you thought this was as simple as tallying everything up, I'm afraid to say you're wrong, my friend. But anyway, let's get started with the first nominee, because yeah, we're not gonna cover every single location ever, otherwise we'd be here for hours and hours going through location after location that have only appeared once. We're only gonna focus on the ones that actually have a shot of winning, like Hyrule Field for example. Its theme is arguably one of the most iconic in the entire Zelda series. It is a super frequently visited location in any game it appears in, and the way it is set up makes it quite an easy one to bring back, you would say, being essentially just a large grassland in central Hyrule. But perhaps that also makes it a little predictable, and has scared the developers off, for lack of a better word, from reusing it, because out of all the nominees in this video, Hyrule Field is featured the least, 6 times. The original Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, The Minish Cap, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and most recently Echoes of Wisdom all feature it prominently, but a few too many games simply do not. What is interesting in that list of games though, is that the original Zelda on NES is not a game every location in this video appears in. But even with that bonus point, so to speak, Hyrule Field doesn't come close to the podium. Oh, and the reverse NES Zelda are Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. All the locations that have a shot of being the most common one appear in those games, for obvious reasons. Not only do those have the largest map, they're also the only 2 Zelda games with the exact same one, so if a location doesn't appear in those titles, it's already 2 behind most of them. Anyway, while Hyrule Field doesn't get further than 6 main game titles, it does appear in some side games, and illustrates pretty well why those shouldn't count. It's featured in Link's crossbow training, which just reuses basically every location that appears in Twilight Princess, similar to what Age of Calamity does with Breath of the Wild's locales, as well as the first Hyrule Warriors, where it goes unnamed, since that game doesn't always make clear where the stages are exactly located. So yeah, to avoid confusion and keep things fair, we're only counting mainline games. Although, that doesn't mean things are all smooth sailing from here. On the contrary, they only get more complicated. Take Gerudo Desert for example, another location that feels like we visited quite frequently. And yet, only 4 games actually use the name Gerudo Desert, being Twilight Princess and the 3 original Switch games. There are however several more titles where Hyrule has a desert, sometimes even populated with Gerudo under different names. The most obvious is Ocarina of Time, which calls this area Gerudo Valley instead. I feel like this one should definitely count, it's pretty obviously the same place. In Four Swords Adventure, the Gerudo reside in the Desert of Doubt, alongside a rare race known as the Zuna. I would also consider this one to be the same desert, but the line is already getting more blurry. A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds feature the Desert of Mystery, which on the surface might appear to be a different location and thus should not count. However, according to the Great Hyrule Encyclopedia, this area used to be the haunted wasteland from Ocarina of Time, which we counted before. Its Japanese name, Ayashi no Subaku, is also identical to the Desert of Doubt, so that further suggests we should count it. If you're curious, that now puts Gerudo Desert at 8 games. It won't become 9 though, because while Skyward Sword does feature the Lanayru Desert, a desert on the surface of Hyrule, I think calling this the Gerudo Desert is a bridge too far. Who knows how long it would be until the Gerudo would ever set foot here, and beyond being a desert, it doesn't appear too similar to what the Gerudo would later call home. But, you know, it remains a tricky one. If you travel back to the time of the dinosaurs and visit what would later become New York, are you in New York? It's debatable, but for the sake of the video, I'm not counting it. For the same reason, Panapa Desert from Zelda 2 also doesn't count, as while it is a desert in Hyrule, it bears no similarity to Gerudo Desert beyond that. Okay, that was a difficult one. Let's cool off with a much simpler location. Kakariko Village. Kakariko keeps it simple and appears in the exact same games we would end up counting for Gerudo Desert, just without the discussion points. It's unmistakably featured in Ocarina of Time, Four Swords Adventures, A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, and is absolutely not present in Skyward Sword and Zelda 2. Unlike Gerudo Desert though, the spirit of Kakariko Village is present in way more games through other small early game towns for Link to visit. Mabe Village, Clock Town, Windfall Island all feel like spiritual successors to Kakariko Village. But hey, spiritual successors don't count, so Kakariko Village remains on 8 games. Respectable, but not enough for the top spots. Let's continue with a location that holds quite a symbolic place within Hyrule, the Lost Woods. This appears without question in 8 games. Zelda NES, A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, Four Swords Adventures, A Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom and Spirit Tracks, featured for the first time in this video. Because yeah, Spirit Tracks is a bit of a weird one for this video. It takes place in New Hyrule, the land that emerged following the flooding seen in the Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass. As such, many locations that resemble what we know have wildly different names and features here. For example, there is a Sand Realm, a desert that could be the Gerudo Desert if you squint your eyes enough. But for me, this feels like the opposite of Skyward Sword. Yeah, Gerudo Desert may have been here one day, but this is not Gerudo Desert anymore. And so it doesn't count there. But the Forest Realm of Spirit Tracks outright features the Lost Woods, which function the same as usual and are called the same thing. 1 and 1 equals 2, this one definitely counts. But that is not where questionable entries for the Lost Woods end. It very briefly appears in the opening of Majora's Mask, as it is where Link loses Navi and finds a way into Termina. I'd say this one definitely counts, which, fun fact, means the Lost Woods is the only location in this video to nab a point from Majora's Mask. Another game we haven't seen yet are the Oracle titles, but that might be changing here, since a Lost Woods appears in Oracle of Seasons. However, this is a very tricky one. It's called the Lost Woods, it has Lost Woods staples like Deku Scrubs and the Master Sword, but it is located in Holodrum, not Hyrule. So, is this the same thing? Or is this another, very similar Lost Woods? It's an incredibly close call, because while I think it fits the spirit of the competition enough for it to count, it literally isn't the exact same location. And that isn't even all debatable games yet, because Echoes of Wisdom also insists on being difficult. This game features the Eternal Forest, which functions extremely similar to the Lost Woods and is clearly related to it somehow. But you would think there is a reason it's not called the Lost Woods, right? I don't know what it is, but there must be something. So while you could honestly debate for hours whether this one and the Oracle of Seasons one should count, I think the best solution is to just give the Lost Woods 1 additional point for these 2 games. Which one counts is up to you. You could even say they both count half. But either way, it's another point for the Lost Woods, which means it ends up with 10 points in total. And we move on to another location full of talking points, being Death Mountain. First we have the 8 usual suspects. Zelda NES, Ocarina of Time, Four Swords Adventures, Twilight Princess, A Link to the Past, A Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Then there's also 2 firsts for this video, as Death Mountain appears in both Zelda 2 and Four Swords, which already puts it at a big 10 points before we've even hit the debatable section. And it is once again Echoes of Wisdom which plays a key role here. So, while in all English games this place is called Death Mountain, there are actually several titles where in Japanese it's called Hebra Mountain. And that is also the name of the snowy mountain in Echoes of Wisdom in English. So, is this the same place? Well, in Japanese they do have the same name, but from a locale perspective they couldn't be more different. One is a boiling mountain range with a volcano, the other is the coldest area in Hyrule. But if we say Death Mountain is characterized by its climate, then that also makes a good case for Elden Volcano, which is also in Echoes of Wisdom, but would also give Death Mountain another point for its inclusion in Skyward Sword. So yeah, it's another mess of a situation, but I think it's pretty clear that no matter how you twist it, Death or Hebra Mountain is included in Echoes of Wisdom to such an extent that it deserves a point for it. Skyward Sword though, if we didn't give one to Gerudo Desert, we can't hand it out now either in my opinion. So that means Death Mountain ends up on 11 points total. Okay, after 2 extremely tricky entries, I think it's time for a cooldown. The perfect moment to dive into Lake Hylia. This is a location without too many ifs, buts or maybes. It's just simply featured in a lot of games, 11 in total. You've got the 8 usual suspects, as well as Echoes of Wisdom and the Minish Cap this time around, plus an unnamed but definitely present feature in Zelda 2. According to the Hyrule Encyclopedia, the Wind Waker's Great Fish Isle corresponds to where Lake Hylia used to be, but while there is still very much water here, I don't think we should be counting this, so Hyrule's most prominent body of water ends with 11 points, equal with Death Mountain, in what I can now reveal is second place. Because the moment is here, with a grand total of 12 games, the most common location in the Legend of Zelda series is Hyrule Castle. Maybe not a huge surprise, but what is impressive is how there are basically no points to debate here. Hyrule Castle reaches 12 pretty cleanly. Sure, its only appearance in the Oracle games is in the intro, and it's not actually visitable, but I would say it counts. What is interesting though is that Hyrule Castle doesn't appear in Zelda 1 or 2, meaning all its points come from post A Link to the Past. Which means that game, Ocarina of Time, the Oracle games, Four Swords Adventures, the Minish Cap, Twilight Princess, a rare Spirit Tracks point, A Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Echoes of Wisdom, and this is the only location in the video to get a point from the Wind Waker. That also means that not a single one of these iconic locations appear in Phantom Hourglass, Triforce Heroes or Link's Awakening, which is not really a surprise if you've played them and know they're not really set in Hyrule as we know it, but still. The Oracle games aren't either and they still appeared. But anyway, now that we have our winner crowned, I want to very quickly add a sort of honorable mention that doesn't come close to the podium, but is still iconic and frequent enough to deserve a mention in this video, being Hyrule Castle Town. 7 out of 12 times does a town come with Hyrule Castle, being in Ocarina of Time, the Minish Cap, Twilight Princess, Spirit Tracks and the 3 original games on Switch. That also means then that there is not a single game where Hyrule Castle Town appears without Hyrule Castle. Duh. But there is one game where Hyrule Field appears without Hyrule Castle, or the nearby town, being the original Zelda 1. Is that useful information? No. Is it interesting? I think so. Do you? Let me know in the comments below. In fact, let me know how you would tackle the many debatable points in this video. I will be surprised if you all agree with how I've ended up doing it. If you enjoyed the video though, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Zelda content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.